Welcome to another Dove Valley Deep Divals special episode. Joining me with these is always pretty much the one and only Lance Sanderson. Lance, my man, it's been a while since we've been able to sit down and record a couple of these shows with the meet and greet and everything, getting ready for that, and then coming back from that. But it's been a interesting 3 weeks, I guess, of Broncos football. And so we're gonna sit here and we're gonna talk about the rookies for these first three games. Oh, and see, just kind of talk about see where they're going. Obviously, Bo Nix is gonna dominate this conversation. And before we get into it, my man, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. It's been, like you said, interesting. Frustrating has been really the big thing, especially offensively. But we got a little reprieve there with a good win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going on the road where Denver's really dominated that matchup between the Broncos and Buccaneers. To see that continue on, really good to see the offense finally get their feet underneath them and gain some traction, not only throwing the football down the field, but in the running game. It's been really good to see this team start to grow up just a little bit. They still got a long ways to go, but these rookies, man, they're going to be really fun to watch. And I can't wait to talk about Bo Nix, man, because it's been an up and down schedule so far for him here lately.
Yeah, obviously, we're not going to be able to talk about every single rookie. The guys on the practice squad, we haven't seen them in the regular season. And then there's guys like Audric Estime, who only had 2 runs and then got hurt. We'll probably talk about him when we do this. I mean, we're probably going to do another episode on the rookies here in a few weeks. Frank Crum, he was finally active for this last game, but never saw the field. Chris Abrams-Strain has been inactive. And Blake Watson, he's been inactive as well for all 3 games. So obviously not a lot to talk about them there, but the first round pick, obviously the quarterback of the future, Bo Nix. I think that he just had the best game of the rookie quarterbacks this year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His footwork was pretty clean. There were still some issues with it, but it wasn't a complete mess like we were seeing in the first 2 games, which was helping his placement. And then his decision making was a lot better. He wasn't missing open receivers like he did a lot against the Steelers. He wasn't trying to force some throws like he did against the Seahawks. He took what was there. He was smart with the football, decisive with it, and had, again, the best game, obviously, of his season so far, of his young career. 3 games, still a lot of room still for growth and development from him, of course. But the best of a rookie quarterback this year, and one of the better ones going back to last year, if we want to take CJ Stroud out of the equation, because CJ Stroud was absolutely phenomenal last year. So it's very promising. So, Lance, what are some quick thoughts of yours about Bo Nix?
Well, it may not have been the best rookie performance by any quarterback this season. Jaden Daniels and what he did against the Cincinnati Bengals was absolutely incredible. But still, for Bo Nix, it was without question his best performance. And I think one thing that really shined was not necessarily the difference in play calling, because it's not like Sean Payton opened up the playbook. It was more of the execution, not only from Bo Nix and the receivers, but along the offensive line. The Broncos' interior offensive lineman did not allow a single pressure, which allowed Bo to stand there in the pocket, gather his senses, really see what was going on down the field, and he got to drive the football down the field, and it started early and often. Obviously, the Broncos received the opening kickoff. Right away, they go right down the field to Cortland Sutton. They go right down the field to Josh Reynolds, get Bo Nix on the scramble on the outside on a bootleg play, get him comfortable, get him in the game, and get this offense moving in the right direction. And to me, that was the bigger thing, was seeing everybody around him kind of gel together and just give him a little bit of help. Because not to say that he's been free of any flaws in the first couple of weeks of the season, he has had his own issues for sure. He hasn't gotten a lot of help either. The offensive line protection has been really shoddy. It's been shady from the right side, from the left side as well. Garrett Bowles go ahead.
On the offensive line, to be fair, they are ranked 14th in pass block win rate.
Oh, absolutely.
The issues with the offensive line, they've been there, but they've been doing a better job than people want to give them credit for. And they are also facing the highest rate of simulated pressures being generated, because teams, especially the Seahawks, and the Seahawks really inflate this number. They did such a good job of getting 3 rushers on Bowles and Powers and 1 rusher against the other 3 blockers. They did such a great job of that, and that created obviously some very quick pressures for them. So the offensive line has struggled, but it's not all them. It's been some issues making the reads pre-snap, and very challenging reads for Bo Nix and Luke Wattenberg with calling out the pressures. So there is some stuff there to the offensive line not helping him out, but I just don't want it to get overblown. I
No,
guess
no,
you could
no.
say I'm an offensive line apologist here. So yeah, I'm going to do that. And then also, real quick, I do want to concede your point about Jaden Daniels. I did not watch the Commanders Bengals game, so I didn't see how he did. I pulled up his stats real quick, and man, he completed all but 2 passes.
Yeah,
Like
it was
200.
insane, dude.
It looks like it was a great game. So
So you
second
should
best game of a rookie quarterback this season.
quickly
Again,
just
I
go.
didn't watch Jane Daniels, and I watched Caleb Williams and all that, and what Drake May's done. Jaden Daniels up until this last game.
Yeah.
So
Go
I
check
can
out
see that point.
the game-winning throw that Jaden Daniels had. He got absolutely blasted and threw a dime to Terry McLaurin in the back of the end zone. It was an absolutely amazing throw. That's not to take away from Bo Nix, not to get away from the Broncos here. I think that, like you say, it's conflating issues here. You've got to understand that Mike McDonald is one of the most difficult defensive coordinators to go against right now because he does such a great job not only disguising what he's doing, but moving players around and getting them doing way different assignments than you'll ever see. Like it's almost like going back and watching the Pittsburgh Steelers defenses in the late 90s and early 2000s with Dick LeBeau, where they run a lot of zone blitzes and they're dropping defensive linemen back into coverages, and they really made it difficult for the offensive line. They made it difficult for Bo Nix to understand what he needed to do with the football. And Bo Nix held on to the football way too long. It was like 3.5 seconds on average. I think it was like the third longest in the league at that particular point for week 1. So again, not that Bo Nix has is perfect. He has his own issues. The offensive line hasn't been great, and the drop balls from Greg Dulcich, you got a couple in there from, I believe, Cortland Sutton had one. You've got to have some more consistency. We saw that more so with against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where you get these guys out there, get them comfortable, allow them to go make some plays, and allow Bo Nix to just feel a little bit more free, play with the lead, and then let that defense go out and do exactly what they did. We'll get into that here in another video, but man, it's fun to watch the Broncos when they play a complete game across all 3 platforms, and it starts with your rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, man.
Yeah, and you brought up something interesting before we move on here to some of the other rookies with the drops. Now, one of my favorite sets that I like to use is adjusted completion percentage, which accounts for drops. And again, you can't really put a lot of blame elsewhere when it comes to drops, because with drops, Bo Nix is still the 23rd ranked quarterback in adjusted completion percentage out of 30. So he's still in the bottom half. So drops, they haven't been a big issue. He's had 5 drops on the season, which it is among the most. He's tied for 5th most drops, but he's just, even when they're not being dropped, there's some issues there completing the ball. His raw completion percentage is also 23rd out of 30. Just to make it clear. Again, not trying to take away from Bo Nix, not trying to hate on him. I think he looked really good against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Sean Payton did a lot to help him out, and that is the game that you really want to look at to build off of. I don't want to say you throw away the tape from the Seahawks and the Steelers game. I absolutely hate that, saying that you burn it, never watch it again. I absolutely hate that mentality, because there are some things you can learn and take from it. But this is the game where you look at it and it's like, hey, you see what you're doing with your feet here? That's what you need to be doing every single time. You use this game as teach tape of where you need to continue to grow and build upon. And like show the negative aspect of it. If you don't work on it, that's where you turn to the Seahawks and the Steelers tape of like, see how different this is. Here you set your back foot and you push forward off of it instead of throwing off that back foot. This is a difference of the placement on similar throws here. So Bo Nix, he's been really good. And I was down on the pick, as you were, but I am excited to continue to see what he can do for the Broncos.
Yeah. It's been rough the first couple of weeks, because you and I, we both came into these videos coming into the season saying it like, I'm super optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. The first 2 weeks, man, they were rough to watch. But after you watched this last game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, you saw a lot of the things you saw in the preseason, where he looked really comfortable. He was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He was on target. It was on time. It was a great showing from a rookie quarterback making his 3rd start. And if you can build from this, like you said, utilize this teach tape, understand where your eyes are supposed to be first, and then tie your feet to your eyes. And the way you're supposed to work through your progressions, you saw that. You saw a lot of that against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was a really good sign for me.
Yeah, especially being on the road in that atmosphere, in that
Yep.
heat.
Yep.
Where Denver typically struggles in Florida in September. It was great to see. Now, moving on to the other rookies, because I mean, we could sit here and we could talk for hours about Bo Nix, but
Well,
there's some other rookies
go
to
for
talk
an
about.
hour. We've done it before.
Devon Bailey, he got hurt. There was a lot of hype for him preseason,
Yeah.
and the injury kind of derailed it. But I'm waiting for him to get fully back and healthy. Was, I believe, inactive the last 2 games, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And so we don't have a lot to go off of there. Hopefully, we start to see that hype bounce back. Troy Franklin, he finally got to see the field. He saw it a little bit. He's showing he's very limited as a route runner. He brings speed, and they're trying to get him the ball and get him the ball in space to where he can utilize his speed. Haven't been the most successful at that, but there's been some highlights there, and he's definitely got to work on that route tree. And you got to pull him off the field when he's asked to block. I think there was a play against the Buccaneers where he was asked to block, and oh my god, man, it was terrible. But the other rookie that's really worth talking about is Jonah Ellis.
Yep.
Haven't seen him a whole lot. He's only playing about 34, 36% of defensive snaps, but he is making an impact. He has, what was it, 4 stops on 31 run defense plays. He has 4 pressures on 24 pass rush plays, including 1 sack. He's done really well in his limited play time. Still a lot of room to grow, especially as a run defender. But we've seen those flashes that you can continue to build upon.
I think the big thing here is you're seeing him start to chain stuff together. He's becoming more confident in his pass rush plan because you're actually seeing a rip swipe move, that spin move. I talked about it when the Broncos drafted him. Errantly said it reminded me of DeMarcus Ware, and I'm making more of the stylistically that's his go-to move. You're seeing a lot more coming out of Jonah Ellis right now. You're seeing some more bend in him coming around the corner. You're seeing him play with a little bit more upper body strength and better leverage. You're seeing, again, the arsenal of pass rush moves is starting to take a little bit more shape. And this dude is constantly living in the backfield. Whether it's they got the sack, he's got 6 pressures, I believe, this year, the 4 run stops on 31 run stops. That's a great showing from a rookie, a guy that's coming out here, and every time he's on the field, you notice 52 is out there and just making plays, man. I was such a hater on the pick, and I will be 100% the guy to say this because I didn't think that he was worth a 3rd round pick. I was damn wrong, absolutely wrong, based on the early returns and the growth that you've seen not only over the first 3 weeks of the season, but coming out of the preseason, where he was one of the most dominant Denver defenders in all of preseason in terms of getting after the quarterback, making plays in the backfield. He's translating that not only against the 3rd and 4th stringers like he was in the preseason, he's doing it against the top offensive linemen. He had a really good game against Tristan Wirfs, had a really good game against the Seattle Seahawks as well. Like, I need to go back and double check the Pittsburgh tape. But this dude is making plays. He's flashing at a very high level, and he's just improving the depth of this edge rushing group, which might quite honestly be the best group we've seen since Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. I'm not kidding. There's enough upside here. If they could all stay healthy and stay on the field, there is a ton of upside in this edge room.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's early to sit there and say he was worth the 3rd round pick, but the early returns are showing that are leading that way. Because I was skeptical of the pick, largely due to injuries and his issues as a run defender with what the Broncos had. But before we get out of here, he has the fastest average get off time for the Broncos among their edges. He averages 0.75 of a second to get off the snap, which is great. It's one of the faster ones in all of the NFL. Nick Bonito is 0.78. And his average time to pressure is 2.7 seconds to get a pressure, which you want to get sped up a little bit. But when you talk about Nick Bonito and how athletic and how quick Nick Bonito is only slightly ahead there at 2.68 seconds. So Jonah Ellis is getting after the quarterback pretty quickly.
Yeah,
but that's going to have to do it for us for this time. Unfortunately, we aren't able to go super long with these videos. If you guys like them, enjoyed them, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll try to get to them in the next episode. Maybe even create a whole topic about it. If you guys come forward with a really good topic idea, we will do that as well, and we'll put like your name on a banner for it as well. For now, you guys can follow us on Twitter. I am at Erick Trickel on Twitter, or X, whatever you prefer. And then you have Lance here on Twitter at LanceS_MHH. You guys can follow the Twitter account for Mile High Huddle at Mile High Huddle, at Dove Valley Deep Divers, DVDD_pod for the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcasts and recorded videos. Now you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. As well, check out the merch at mhhmerch.com, right?
I think so. I think that's right.
And so you have all these options to sit there and do support, but you can always just leave a like, subscribe, comment. It all helps the algorithm here on YouTube and helps expand MHH to more viewers. Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you guys have a wonderful night. And as always, go Broncos.